Check our bit rates here. Actually, we were getting great bit rates. I think it was just that one house at Walnut. Hi, everybody. Stand by while we test the configuration for the first time here in this Nueva Casa. Live chat. While we it sounds good here. And we're... Oh, it's dropping a little bit. I'm going to keep an eye on that because we might not be able to do it right now. Oh, well, I don't know. It's so choppy. It's like sometimes 4 megabytes per second and then other times like 2 or less. Like a half meg. It's so... Let's see what happens. Well, you guys can tell me if it's laggy. I'll be watching that bit rate. And then sometimes, I mean... There might be less live shows. There might be more pre-recorded. But if I have a recording studio and the ability to... yeah, it's dropping 20% of my frames. I suspect that we're going to eventually need an extender. Because we're losing 21% of the frames. But the really messed up part is that the monitor for me... it looks the same and it says excellent connection. But it's actually very, very spotty. But the beauty of that is that most of this is a recording studio now. This is the new one. So see, now we're down to we'll see. We'll see how this looks. I'll run some tests. We'll let the stream go, and then I'm going to watch it later. Yeah. To YouTube. But it's very possible that eventually what's going to happen is we'll have to Wi-Fi extender. We'll probably have to do pre-recorded shows for a bit until we either get an extender or... But at least in here I can do an album. I don't think anyone will care. That was one of my bigger concerns. I could even put, there's a ledge here for vapes, I think, mainly. We'll put the padding right there, and then that way we can scream about prowlers in the songs, and no one will care. Mic up 9. Now we're at 19% frames. You guys, if anyone shows up in the chat, just tell me how bad the quality is of the choppiness. Do we have any updates for you guys? Let me think about that. Oh. Gosh, you know what's... Okay. Where's my banner? Oh, that's not Eron's News. Where's the Eron's News banner? It's right here. It's in scrolling text or something like that. It's saved as something weird. Oh, I must have deleted it completely. Ugh, 21% frame drop. Maybe no good. Oh, I don't have the banner anymore? I have Drew Beeson with a Sturmgewehr here. What if we go... I don't know. This one I don't know. It's okay. These guys. That's a Luigi thing. I don't know. It's okay. These guys. That's a Luigi thing. It's not that bad. I imagine that the viewer here is Channel. So Channel, if that's you, let me know how terrible the lag is. Let me think about what page... I think it was page 91 of the Pro Boards. Let's try it. Oh, you guys been watching... there's a Netflix series that's called Unbelievable. And it's very similar to the Eron's case. But he doesn't whisper. And he takes pictures and videos. And I think that that's actually a Mr. Cruel reference. I don't know who the offender is supposed to be in this show. Let's find out. But Mr. Cruel is believed to have filmed and photographed his assaults in Australia. And he has never been identified. So find him next. Unbelievable. He's a very bad guy. And he bathed his victims. That's where they got the idea, I think. Mr. Cruel was... Mr. Cruel abducted victims, and then he would, after the assaults, he would have them take very long showers and baths to thwart rape kits. And that was in 1987. That was when DNA had first come out. Very, very, very insightful. I think that person had to be, it was almost certainly an investigator of something. Let's see. Oh, I thought that said Neil Armstrong. Based on... Oh, it's based on the 2008-2011 Washington, Colorado serial rape case. Program draws, blah, blah, blah. Let's look that up. Let's see what that is. Oh. Wow. Well, sentenced to 327 and a half years in prison. That is cray. Similar. Not sure. Let's see what this is. 127 and okay. Not sure about the bath thing, but definitely this is so crazy. Definitely in the Mr. Cruel case that happened, and this guy was captured with 40 days of investigation. So it really shows you how elusive Iran's was, because he went for 38 years or 40 years or something, or more, really. I guess 42 years or more, 44 years. That's a long fucking time to go unidentified. This guy couldn't even make it 40 days. Let's see where all this crap about the VIP hitman. Okay. There's all these VIP shit that did I? Oh, I didn't post that. Oh, fucking sick. Oh, we have some stuff, guys. We have only poquito bit of Iran's news. Yeah, why were there no composites made on original Night Stalker? Yeah, this is what I heard too, and I like the way that Drifter is baiting this. He says, God, it's so choppy and inconsistent. It'll go from 4 megabytes to like a half. Really, really weird. What happens if I close everything using network on my computer? Let's find out. Only caminando. Well, nothing really is. Only OBS. Microsoft Edge is using some. Yeah, nothing else is using any network, I guess. Okay. Well, I mean... Okay, well, we'll just try it out. If everyone says, oh, it's too choppy, I'm freaking out, then we'll either pre-record a lot of things. Because I don't care. Yeah, the chat's cool, or whatever, but usually, especially if I have a show to do about like a specific topic, then a lot of times the chat is really only a distraction from that. Like, there have been times I come in here and I do like a show about Charlie Kirk, and then someone will show up and be like, but what about the I-35 killer? And you're like, God damn it. So I try to learn how to like ting ting and bounce to that back and forth. Yeah. This is guys, if you have a composite sketch, it shouldn't be holdback information. What is the point of that? Oh, it's so law enforcement can look at it. It's like, yeah, but then they don't get fact checked. Because guys, look at the Zodiac sketch. I mean, if SFPD is taking that sketch seriously, then that's really their problem. And if they would open up the discords so that people can talk about it, they would quickly realize that that's not a good composite sketch. So there he is. Yeah. God, look at him. Look at Captorado Robbins in here getting gas after he just killed Charlie Kirk. That is so crazy, man. Oh my God. The whole country is looking for him right now. You guys, this is so crazy. This guy, he looks just like the guy that wasn't this on. Even this guy's watching him. Look at him. He's like, is that the dude that shot Charlie Kirk? I don't know if the photos had come out yet. Let's see, where were we? Yeah. I agree with this. Van Gogh's Domingo Sanchez investigation could have created at least 3 composites, yet we have none. 10 p.m. the night of Domingo Sanchez murder, a couple were out walking in the same neighborhood. They were followed by a slender man, approximately 5'11", with blonde neck-length hair. ... No sketch. And then he says, 9:45 p.m. on the same night, a neighbor sees a man standing behind a large tree. No sketch. 11 p.m., same neighborhood, same night, a jogging mother and daughter see a man standing beside the Domingo residence. He is estimated to be in his 20s or 30s, 5'10", neatly cut. Pay attention to that. Neatly cut blonde hair with a German Shepherd dog. Again, no sketch. Remember, you don't sell scraggy wigs. The wigs are going to be neatly cut, guys. So, I think so. He says, was Sacramento more adept at drawing sketches than Southern California? Seems like it, yeah. Drifter says, my understanding is that there were never any sketches made of the original Night Stalker anywhere in Southern California. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, where's the sketch? So you can see the way he's trying to bait a response. He's trying to get information with the bait. He's like, oh, yeah, prove me wrong, show me the sketch. So, warehouse in Irvine. What the fuck is he talking about? Tribuco, what are you talking about? Tribuco says his signature is Y and how equals who. Is that true? So you can see. I don't know. But people will show up on the stream, they won't say anything, and then they'll leave because the frame rate's choppy. It's like, well, can you tell me about that so I know? Because right now, I'm at 25% drop frames. So that number continues to climb. Not too sure. Hello, welcome to New Cokes. Will you hand me this one? No, but I either get one or I sit on a little device. No, that's gonna fall over. Yep. What? Whoa. Okay. It's gonna tip. Oh, here, this one.
I think it's heavy.
Watch this.
That thing.
Put these on.
Right.
Watch this. Watch when you hit the vape. It's so weird.
Whoa! What the heck?
Vape's releasing radio frequencies.
It's so loud.
You know. You have to, because then if you play the stream on your phone and it's like all quiet, you're like, what the fuck?
You go now.
Into the cupboard. Into the Harry Potter room. People are like, are you under the stairs? It's like, your face is under the stairs. I like what this guy's... This is smart, man. Look at this. His signature says EAR is older than we all think. He's so visionary. There were a lot of people who were really on the right track, guys. There really were. And the worst part of it was that they were on the right track. They were looking at a lot of correct information, had a lot of correct hypotheses, and they still weren't even close to figuring out who he was. It's just amazing that happened. Seeing how the presumed sketch of the Goleta Creek Trail rapist compares to... yeah. What, they don't have it? Because I think... Let's look that up. I remember that case, and it's D'Angelo because he has a ring on his finger. Oh my god, this is such a trip, you guys. Watch this. Goleta Creek Trail rapist. I would consider this a non-canonical attack that I am convinced was also him. Goleta Creek Killer, we're not the same man. Well, they are, so get pwned. Guys, the newspapers in Sacramento needed to stop. They had to slow down because they were saying such dumb stuff. And it's always the newspapers saying the dumbest shit ever. But anyway, Sacramento, the original Night Stalker. Anyway, oh my gosh. All right, so look, the same news agencies calling him the same news agencies that were calling him the diamond knot killer. He'd never tied a knot, guys. He never tied a diamond knot, not even one time. Guys, he didn't tie a diamond knot one time. Why would you call him the diamond knot killer? That's so stupid. He stole that diamond knot from Charlene Smith's curtains. The diamond knot was almost certainly already in the curtains, guys. Oh no, he tied the... How do you tie a diamond knot? Because there's a thread on Pro Board, and I thought it was sensational at first, but there's ways you can go about it where... Guys, he didn't tie a... What? Why would you waste your time doing that? That doesn't make any sense. Look how complicated that knot is. Guys, that was already in the drapes. There's no reason for him to do that. He would tie a slip knot. It takes 2 seconds. You know, all you have to do to make a diamond knot or to make a slip knot is just run, you know, or even, guys, he should have been using dog leashes, but he wasn't very smart in that respect. Because a dog leash already has a slip knot built into it. You take the handle and you run the clip through it. Boom, slip knot. A very, very good slip knot. Very smooth, very easy. Very effective. So. Wikipedia diamond knot. Alright. Guys, he never tied one of those. So it's so dumb to call him that. And then people were like, oh, diamond knots, that's his get down. Especially like on the A&E forum, because wow, look at that. 3 unsolved murders solved in 2024. All right. Oh no, no murder Inc. Oh no. Paradise. Oh my gosh, you guys, everybody is so fucking twacked on this forum sometimes. Yeah. But part of the reason that people had so many things right and so many things wrong simultaneously is they were saying stuff like this. They were like, okay, look at this comment. Murdoch says, thinking about it, maybe SoCal wasn't the home base and Northern California was the home base, with the number of odd sketches of suspects north compared to south, not including victims. That's kind of interesting. Then Jackie D, whose signature says EAR is older than we all think, also comments and says, I don't believe we can make such a conclusion. Well, where did he live? Citrus Heights. Up north. Citrus Heights, Auburn. He lived in Auburn, Exeter, Citrus Heights, He bought his house in Citrus Heights in 1980. Before that, he lived, what was the name of that fucking place? Was it Roseville? Oh, as soon as I see it, I'm going to know it. Let's go Joseph D'Angelo's house. Or let's go Joseph D'Angelo's first house. Oh, well, not in Bath, New York. That's too far. He had another house between that, and they just aren't telling us. Wow, look at this. D'Angelo's childhood home. Which one is it? Is one of these ones? Okay. Oh, what a trip. You would expect it to be a single-story house, actually. So that's interesting. Because he attacked in single-story homes. Uh-oh. See, we're getting the first connection. Stream is healthy. Okay, let's see what happens. Maybe it shows me when those things are messed up. I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit laggy. Eventually, we're going to have to Wi-Fi extender this fucker. Because it's not... That's okay, though. Really what that means is more time to record an album and less time talking about brutal murders. That's okay. Nothing wrong there. Yeah, I would like ONS composites. And stop holding them as holdback, guys. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you make a composite sketch and then make it hold back? Oh, it's so the cops know what he looks like. Well, they don't, because we can't fact check it. You have to fact check these things, guys. Look at the Zodiac sketch. It's trash. I wish I still had the video. I had a video called... Wait. A review of the credibility of the witnesses to the murder of Paul Stein. And I shredded the sketch. Made waves in the Zodiac community for that. And, I think that was one of the first times that people were like, well, who's this new hoax in Zodiac world? Because it was so salt, I just ripped them apart. I took the Presidio sketch, because it's clearly not accurate. Clearly. Not only is it not accurate, but the victims can't even agree on what they saw. They're like, no, he looked older than that. And then they make a sketch and like looks younger. And they're like, it's perfect. It's like, what? The fuck? So lots of errors going on there. You know? Yeah. But you have to open these things up to the public, guys. You know, this is a message for the law enforcement investigators that are doing these things. You have to open this stuff up for public review. You can't go, we have a composite sketch, we won't really... It's like the Ripen Court identikit. Oh, it's for internal use only. I mean, that one was not bad, though. They got lucky at that one. I've always liked Ripen. The Ripen shooter composite, I think it's good. It really captures that morose look that D'Angelo has, where he's like all miserable and shit. You can see it in his eyes. The Ripen shooter really captures that really well. And that's something he apparently couldn't avoid because it's in every photo of him ever. He always looks sad. He's like, man, this sucks. That's how he always looks. So not bad. Now we're at 31% frames dropped. Eventually I just can keep climbing until we hit 100. And then everyone's going to be like, this is a picture. This is not a stream. It's a photo. So we'll look into that. I think that this has a direct... Let's see. Oh, man. Let's see what we can work with here. What's this fucking thing? That's a fucking HDMI cable sticking out. Oh, look at this. But, you know, guys, this might be the phone line. It might not actually be the let's try it. See what happens. Not sure that this is even the right cable for this. It could be, though. I won't reach anyway. So that's okay. I'm too lazy to do that. I'd rather just record the record. Okay. Me too lazy. It claims excellent connection though. Maybe kind of. Yeah, it's pretty choppy. We'll see. They'll separate the real fans from the degenerates. Okay, let's do more tests. Let's see what happens. Yeah, they go, oh, we couldn't find your account. Two-factor authentication. It's like, oh, fuck. I'm so lazy, I don't even want to do it. I need to tell Dolan to download maybe Microsoft Teams. He says he likes Androids more, so I'd be like, we'll get Microsoft Teams to come on New Cokes. Be like, oh, move that up there. Little book depository. What? Okay. Yeah, if we can figure out a way to video call him from the computer, he can come on whenever he wants. We could talk about Hauptmann and other things. It's pretty choppy, though. We'll probably pre-record it. Just because the lag thing is not good, and I don't want someone's inaugural appearance on this show to be fraught with problems of lag. That would be terrible. Maybe no good. Okay. Where were we? It doesn't help to have 109 tabs open either. That's really stupid. So. Hard to grasp distances of crime located. There's so much stuff on here, guys. Yeah. Guys, and he did travel. So Drifter... Okay, look. Drifter has pretty much never said anything correct. You know? Almost never. He was not a very smart researcher, guys. And he was like, I'm in charge of everyone. He just never said anything correct. He was like, many posters presume that he didn't travel all those distances so much as relocate from time to time due to job status, student status, or some other circumstance. Well, you're wrong. He drove. But this is why Drifter disappeared from the community when they captured him. They captured him and Drifter just left. Because he was like, oh shit, now I look really stupid. And he did. He thought that, guys, he thought Eurons was being protected by people. He's like, oh, he's a VIP. He's a high-ranking, you know, he's a politician's son. It's like, dude, no. They wouldn't even have, guys. All right. I love that when people are like, but they don't want us to know that. It's like, why is it on CNN then? Because normally, if you're in the government and you don't want people to know something, you don't put it on the front page of the newspaper. Very similar, but actually the opposite type of scenario with Zodiac, where they're like, he was in the newspaper. He worked at the Chronicle. It was a conspiracy to sell newspapers. It's like, well, how come it's on page 4? You can really make accurate assumptions of things based on the media coverage that they get. Because remember, do I need to refresh everyone about Operation Mockingbird? Let's talk Operation Mockingbird. Cuz it helps to you can utilize information like this to to make conclusions. So here's Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird is I like how they call it alleged. It's not alleged. Operation Mockingbird is a large-scale program of the United States Central Intelligence Agency that began in the early years of the Cold War and attempted to manipulate domestic American news media organizations for propaganda purposes. The too long didn't read here, guys, is that the CIA runs the news. Of course they do. And if you want more information on what's going on today, all you need to do is look no further than the Nazi Party. Because the U.S. stole all of its techniques from the Nazis. All of them. They took all their rocket scientists. They took all their propagandists. And they had high-ranking SS officials, from Hitler's cabinets. And they brought them over to America. That's called Operation Paperclip. Here we go. Boom, there it is, Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip was a secret United States intelligence program in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken from former Nazi Germany to the U.S. for government employment after the end of World War II in Europe. So a lot of that largely was for rockets. Rockets were the big thing there. If you're tell me if you guys are getting it. Is it so laggy that it's unwatchable? We'll see. I'm getting a lot of drop frames, so hopefully, I'm not sure the audio as the audio continues, I'm okay with that. Not sure how to check. Maybe the transcript would tell me, but I don't think it. Anyway, so all you have to do is look no further than Nazi Germany to get an understanding of what's going on with, does the CIA run the news? Of course, because Goebbels discovered that. Goebbels discovered that by running the news in Germany, he could, it was great for propaganda purposes. And the same for many things. But these things are still in play today. You guys know Anderson Cooper's a CIA agent. He might even be an agent. I think that at minimum, he's an asset, but he could be an agent, guys. Anderson Cooper. Let's go Anderson Cooper's CIA. Yeah. Oh my gosh, guys. I always cite him. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Look at this. So, this is a Reddit thread from 10 years ago. Today I learned Anderson Cooper was in the CIA. And then someone says, I feel like being an intern isn't really the same as being in the CIA. Well, that's a cover story. You intern for the CIA and then they don't hire you, quote unquote. But he really does work for them. And of course he does, because he's on CNN. Does CNN really stand for, what does that stand for? CIA News, like, what does it mean? Anyway. And so if you guys, when you, it's like Horan and this Zodiac thing, when you guys think that there's a conspiracy involved, logically break down what you're seeing in the media. Because if you are seeing, and what do you know, he wasn't being protected by VIP. So my logic works backwards too. The logical process involved here checks out, because when he was captured, it turns out he wasn't a politician's son, drifter. He was just a dirtbag. And not even, guys, even cops in his own department didn't like him, D'Angelo. So he's not, you have to look at what's being covered in the news. If they have, if they have EAR on the front page of every newspaper, then he's not being, it's no cover-up. Because they run that media too. But, oh, well, they can't. Guys, editors in the newspapers. That's where they go. The CIA, I think, is the people who are the final layer of filtration for a news story. I remember because I was in Anonymous, guys. I saw this stuff happen. I was recruited to an IRC network when I was like 17 years old, called FrostyFolks.me. And FrostyFolks.me was a chat for active anonymous hackers, people who were involved in cybercrime for anonymous, specifically for cyber criminals. You couldn't really get in unless you were known in the anonymous community, and you couldn't get in if you weren't clearly committing crimes. So it was a very small network. There were like, I would say 6 or 7 people. I could name them all for you. Not their real names, but Death, Umbra, Anonymous Japan, Halcyon Tyranny, DDoS King or X, and then maybe Kitten was allowed there. I think Kitten was allowed there. And I wonder what he's doing now. He was only about 2 years older than me, so hopefully he's alive still. Really good guy. We got along. He was from like Scotland, but we got along for years, even after I left Anonymous, and eventually I just stopped talking to him. But really cool guy. We think his name was Andrew. But he also admitted that being his name, so it could not be that. We don't know. He would get all drunk in Scotland and then come on Anonymous, and we would go hack the planet. And so Angry Magma would. Anonymous isn't really a group. It's a banner that you can fly, and for the most part, the real cyber criminals realized that by publicizing all their stuff in the news, they just got caught really fast. So a lot of it retreated underground. And a lot of those same people, like me being one of them, because I was only a kid at this time. I was like 16, 17 years old in Anonymous. We didn't have financial problems because we weren't adults. So then as those same people from Anonymous came of age, the ones that stayed hacking did it for money purposes. They started doing credit card fraud. They started really going underground to hide their activities. And anyway, so long story short, with FrostyFolks.me, as I say in South Park, to make a long story short, in Frosty Folks, there was a feud that happened, internal network feud that happened between Death and Umbra and X/DDoS King, who was a legend. Dude, DDoS King was so cool. We'll get into him in a second. There was an internal feud that happened, and DDoS King uncovered the real identities of Death and Umbra, complete with like maps of their social networks and stuff. And according to DDoS King, these guys were both federal informants, and they were recruiting people to this network called Frosty Folks. When I was in Frosty Folks, I was encouraged, and in my endeavors were supported to commit acts of cyber intrusion against foreign countries. So while we did talk about hacking into U.S. systems, most of it was Tokyo Power and Electric, British Petroleum, and foreign governments like Syria, Iran, stuff like that. We were encouraged to hack their government websites and to release their databases. Well, if the scandal was true, and these two are federal informants, then by extension, the federal government was recruiting anonymous hackers to break into foreign governments for them. And it makes perfect sense. That's how you liability shield something. If you want to hack Iran, you don't do it from the United States CENTCOM. You get a kid to do it, and then if he ever gets caught, no one cares, and it doesn't matter. He's a kid that hacked Iran. It's like, well, he was, whether unwittingly or not, he was working for the CIA. And so there was like the first indication, and we would get news journalist connections and stuff like that, and you could just feel it. You could tell that there were certain, like Prism was huge at that time, in 2013, in Operation NSA and stuff like that. But it was very clear that that the media and the hackers and the agenda were all following the same stream. We were all going together in this one. Even though Anonymous isn't an organization, it's a banner that you can fly. Now, technically speaking, you could bomb. Don't do this, right? Okay. Okay, let's put this in a more viewer-friendly way. You could structurally damage a bank, and you could say, "We are anonymous," and that's valid. No one can fight you on that. In terms of, is that anonymous? You know, so it's a banner. You could go and snipe somebody or something and say, "We're anonymous," and yeah, that's. I'm actually really surprised no one's done it, because the media scandal would be insane. Like, Anonymous had so much coverage back in the day, it was ridiculous. We had all these journalist connections at like all these different news outlets, and they would just run everything we told them without even asking. And you can see evidence of that. Like, go back through the Google News archives from like 12 years ago to 14 years ago, especially during the summer of lulls and stuff, and look up like Anonymous, and then they're huge at that time. But there was a filtration system. There were people in those IRC chats that were like that would approve or disapprove of your operations, and those IRC chats were almost certainly run by the government too. Like Anon-Ops and stuff was almost certainly a CIA IRC network. Because there was a guy, Elmo, that was the server administrator there, and he could read all your private messages and everything that happened on that IRC network. They always said PMs were rooted there. But clearly, there's a covert, and it was easier to see it and feel it than it was to show it. Or look at Sabu. Sabu is the perfect example of this. He orchestrated LulzSec and anti-security for like 8 months, 9 months. I think it's about 9 months. For like 9 straight months, this guy was the main hacker on the planet. They were breaking into everything, And in March of 2012, it was announced on Fox News and everywhere else that Sabu was Hector Monsegur, and he was working for the FBI almost the whole time. So the FBI was breaking into their own systems, and of course, the LulzSec had all the vulnerabilities because they were the FBI. They didn't realize it. Most of them, only Sabu knew. But you could feel that collusion between the news, the government, and the hackers. It was all moving in the same direction with the same agenda, the same talking points, the same concerns. And so, if Iran's is a conspiracy, or we're trying to cover up, you don't know who he is, why is he on the front page of CNN before the arrest too? Like, there were documentary HLN's unmasking a killer. There was fucking Michelle McNamara's book. There was all this stuff coming out. The CIA doesn't let you do that. If the CIA doesn't like your talking point, if they don't want it, if it doesn't suit the agenda, they just don't cover it. And we saw that too in Anonymous. As it started to collapse, everything started to fall down. The media didn't care anymore. Look at now. When was the last time Anonymous was in the news? It's the same thing. But it's easier to see and feel it in live time than it is to prove it later. And if the Zodiac Killer is a conspiracy to sell newspapers, he would be on the front page, not on page 4. Immediately the logic breaks down. So, Drifter was just saying, to circle everything back, Drifter was saying crazy stuff, and he just, obviously, he realized how crazy he was, later. Okay, so, people saying things like this, they say, how'd that happen? I don't know where it went. Anyway, he said not a criminal mastermind, just a familiar face. I think people don't want to admit this. But I think that the EAR was a criminal mastermind. The only thing that he couldn't account for was DNA. Everything else was very, very well executed, guys. Compare that with, this guy. What's his name? I close the tab now, but compare it with the guy from the Unbelievable series. He was captured after 40 days of investigation. Well, it took him 44 years to capture the Visalia ransacker. Or 44 years, whatever. So, I think he was a criminal mastermind, really. And the only thing that screwed him over was he couldn't account that they could swab his semen stains and tell him who his cousins were in 40 years. And who would expect that? That's space age shit. Like, you know what the equivalent is, right? And it's easy to go, oh, that's not space age. There's a mechanism. This is how we do that. And so then it demystifies it. But it's the same as if today, like say I walk down the street outside. In 40 years, they come and they do some kind of radiocarbon procedure that is able to extract evidence of my presence 40 years later. Now you would say, oh, that's insane. You can't do that. It's the same with the DNA and the semen from the EAR. They had no way of knowing that would be possible in 40 years. So, yeah, criminal mastermind, I think. He did everything else right. Everything else. No one had any fucking clue, guys, who that guy was. So, very interesting situation. And I would like to know what Drifter says now. He was like, he's a politician. Angry Magma, how bad's your lag? I've been trying to troubleshoot that for a while here. To figure out how bad. This is all... it's really a test stream. What we're doing here is we're getting a breakdown and an initiation of like how all this... So that as we go forward, we can start doing shows. And eventually we'll get a Wi-Fi extender, and that will really help things, I think. And for a little bit, we may have to do the old way of like streaming from a cell phone for a bit until either we have an extender or whatever working there. So I don't know what happened to that. I think I left it in that house when we left. Maybe in the garage or something. But we'll get another one. Oh, good. Angry Magma says he has no lag. That's awesome, then, if that's true. And it's a weird situation, but it's exactly what you would expect. A country, and I agree with it now. I used to think this stuff was like shady, clandestino, like, oh, the government's up to no good. I agree with a lot of their methods now. Now, there's some stuff they do that's really bad, and I totally don't agree with, and it's not but large, like even the surveillance state, I'm okay with it, because I researched Irans, and I want surveillance cameras everywhere. I want cameras in my house, pointed at my house, pointed down the street, everything. Because not only do they help us capture offenders retroactively, but they also help us to deter them. And so all these people like Joe Rogan or whoever is like, oh, but the DNA is a violation of my privacy. It's like, dude, your privacy? Because look what happened to Janelle Cruz's face. And not to be for shock. It's not shock. It's real shit, guys. I'm okay with the surveillance state. Whoops. It comes with... Dead air. Bad pod. It comes with wisdom and in research and age. Mature a little bit and read about Irans, and suddenly them reading our text. Sorry, some lag on video, but audio is fine. Oh, cool. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Thank you, Angry Magma. It's good to know. I mean, most of it is, oh, look at New Cokes. He's sitting there with a microphone. So it's as long as you can hear it, that's perfect. For me. Same. Pero, when you start researching these horrible serial crimes that occur, it's really not so bad if they want to read all our texts, guys. I'm okay with that. There's nothing bad. They're not misusing it anyway. When this stuff broke in 2013 and we were looking at Ed Snowden and, oh my god, the government's reading all my texts and da-da-da-da-da, it was so fresh and so new to people. And of course, Snowden, was probably working for the NSA and still is. But it was so new to people that it really freaked them out. They're like, oh my God, the government can see my text. In the last 12 years, we've seen that they don't misuse that information. They really don't. The government isn't even that bad, guys. I mean, there's bad elements of it for sure. Like, let me look at 9/11. It's terrible. But if they want to read my text, that's okay. So far, I agree with. And now, if it gets misused, if they start framing people with DNA, then that's going to be another story. Maybe they are, but I haven't seen that. And they've had my DNA since 2017. So, it's really not so bad. Where did that come from? The surveillance? Anyway, so if you want to discover if there's a conspiracy, it really helps to look at the way that the media is covering something. If they're putting the Golden State Killer on every television in America, there's probably not a conspiracy to cover it up. Because someone's going to capture him that way. And that doesn't... Oh, but they couldn't. It's like, well, they did. Drifter. Drifter... Guys, Drifter is a tripper. He's like, they threw away the Maggior... Or they threw away the EAR rape kits. There's clearly a conspiracy. It's like, no, they're just really dumb sometimes. It's not their fault. And of course, that's a travesty. It's horrible to throw away the rape kits in Sacramento after you know that the EAR committed the shooting. I don't have an explanation for that. That's really bad. But it's incompetence. They're like, oh, statute of limitations wore off. Throw away the rape kits. And maybe there was no interdepartmental cross communication where someone was like, wait a minute, don't do that. We think he killed the Maggiors. Some clerk was just following the procedure. Says, okay, the statute of limitations is out for these crimes. Throw away the rape kits. That's probably what they were doing all the time procedurally. And the EAR is no exception. So while it was really incompetent for law enforcement to do something like that, they just didn't know better, I don't think. And or whoever specifically threw away or destroyed it, he probably got in trouble for it. But at the same time, you could say I was just following procedure. The procedure is that when the statute of limitations runs out, throw away the rape kit. And there's no discrimination in that. It's just that's a black and white procedure. So when the EAR statute of limitations ran out for the rapes back in, 1980 or whatever it was, they threw away the kits because that's what the procedure says to do. So while it's not really the smartest option, is it evidence of a cover-up? Probably not. Especially not because we've captured him now. But they didn't have any hope of covering that up. With investigative genetic genealogy, it's really changed things. Anyway. So I know someone in real life now, you guys, who's a major conspiracy theorist. And he thinks that Kohberger was innocent and that Tyler Robinson didn't shoot, or Captain Otto Robinson didn't shoot Charlie Kirk. And I didn't, I didn't say, hey, check out New Cokes, no conspiracy in Charlie Kirk shooting, and would Tyler Robinson have gotten away with murder? And some of these streams I've done where I talked about whether or not Captain Otto Robinson was a CIA agent, or see a quote unquote CIA. Or was it intelligence operative? I mean, they guys, and they had someone comment and say, well, they're humans too. They accidentally jumped off the roof. Like, no. The deep state didn't shoot someone and then jump off a 2-story roof. That's really stupid. You'd break your leg, possibly. I mean, he did get wounded too. He sprained his ankle or whatever. Couldn't even walk properly. What's that old... There's a quote, like, never attribute to malice what can be adequately explained by stupidity. It's very similar to that, basically. Where it's like, let's find out what that quote is, because I like it. Never attribute... Oh my gosh. I was so close, guys. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. Now, never is a strong word. It's like Occam's razor, where it's like, hold on, Don't just go only by that, because sometimes the complicated solution is the truth. But it's a good guideline. You know, there was at that time a statute of limitations. Now it's different, and it's almost certainly because of and you could see policy get adjusted even. But the policy at that time was like there was a statute of limitations for rape, and it was like a year or two, something ridiculous like that. So after the EAR statute of limitations ran out, the rape kits got thrown out. That just happens. It's their procedure. In fact, it's in black and white on paper. It tells you to do that. Not a smart procedure. I don't agree with that. And obviously the Department of Justice has changed it now, but intelligently and wisely. But, you know, it's a lot harder to orchestrate a conspiracy than it is to just be stupid. That's the reality of it. It's way harder to do a covert operation than it is to just fucking be dumb. So a lot of it's that. A lot of it is, and Paul Holes did it the right way. Doing investigative genetic genealogy, we were able to uncover the identity of the AR, and it revolutionized criminal investigations. That's mind-blowing. Was it really Paul? You know, you go back through the pro boards and you start seeing the narrative breakdown. Like, I know that it's joked, like I've joked it too, that Paul Holes like solved the case, but he was really only using techniques that everybody already were talking about. Yeah. Everybody was talking about this already. They're like, what about, you know, familial matching and familial genetic genealogy and stuff like that? This was already being talked about when Paul Holes went and did that. And I think it just took long enough for him to convert that DNA profile to the right type of profile, and then also to make sure that enough people had been tricked by the media to, we'll get into that too, tricked by the media to submit their DNA to the GEDmatch databases. And it took a media push to do it. Everybody was like, oh, submit your DNA, find out who you're... And it's really all to capture the EAR. Really brilliant. Because you notice after the EAR got capture autoed, after the EAR was capture auto, they stopped that. When was the last time you saw an advertisement for Ancestry? Pretty rare now. Because they did their job. Which was to capture D'Angelo. So, he was probably tripping at that time. He's probably like, oh my god, look at this. They're going to get me. I always wonder that. It's one of the things I'd want to ask D'Angelo, too. I have a lot of questions for him. I have a form here somewhere in the other room, I think. About here are some questions I think we should ask D'Angelo when we waterboard him. But I would love to ask him, like, did you know it was coming? He had to have known. And why not leave America at that point? That's a really big uncertainty. If I were D'Angelo and is like, they're gonna get me in like soon, I would be in fucking Sweden, where there's no extradition policy, like tomorrow. Where's it? Switzerland? I think it's Switzerland. But the point is, flee to a country that has no extradition policy, and he didn't. Yet he must have known it was coming. I think he knew his days were numbered. You know. Oh no, it died. So. All right. Well, things are working out good in terms of the obviously a Wi-Fi extender would help, or a direct line to the router. But if we can't do that anytime soon, then I'll still do phone streams with you guys, and then still do it's just a lot of technical difficulties because technology is not well built right now. Most of this stuff is about, what was I saying we'd get into a second ago? Oh man, can't remember. Someone will be watching the stream and be like, you said this. It will annoy them later on. But anyway, yeah, I wish I remember what it was. Should I go back for the I don't want to do that. It's too much work. We'll just cover it next time. We'll write it down or something. Let's move this down. See how that looks? Live from a spinning ball, the most banned prowler online. It's a really fascinating case. I think you can judge the the God, we're at 40% drop frames. That's really bad, guys. So I'll troubleshoot that. I have a record to record too, so let me just focus on that for a bit. And then also my brother will eventually be on the stream soon. Not sure what we're going to cover. We'll probably just freeform it because there's a lot to talk about with Halpin and all these guys. But, you know, if this is a conspiracy, you got to look at the way the media is covering something. If the media has it blasted on the front page, then it is of their agenda to capture him. And if it's of their agenda to capture him, he's probably not a protected, valuable, or very important person, VIP, whatever. It doesn't work that way. You know, they would hush it up. They wouldn't talk about it. Because the more you start talking about it in the public, the more people are going to really genuinely look for him. And they didn't know it was going to be the DNA that captured him. What if it was something else? Could have been something else. Look, here's how you could have captured the EAR without DNA. You look for police officers in Exeter and Visalia. Because remember, the Visalia ransacker was believed to have been law enforcement by McGowan. Bill McGowan thought that the man who shot his flashlight out on the night of December, was it the 14th or something? Let's find out. McGowan shooting. I'm going to be wrong there. I just you're on. Just difficult, you know. For no reason. What fucking day was that? OMG. The Visalia ransacker. I think it's December 10th, isn't it? Yep, December 10th. So December 10th, 1975, McGowan's flashlight was shot out by the Visalia ransacker, and McGowan, from that time till he died, said that guy's a cop. He could tell from certain things, and he also believed he'd seen him before. Well, now we know that Exeter and Visalia both processed their inmates or whatever, like their arrested and charged offenders. They process and charge them out of the same place. So it's very possible that D'Angelo and McGowan had crossed paths in their line of work. We don't know for sure, but there's some strong suspicions because McGowan said he looked familiar. And he said he was a cop. He was like adamant. So if you look at cops from Exeter and Visalia, which two towns are right next to each other, who later moved to Sacramento or nearby Sacramento, and then cross-check that with anyone who moved south or went south from there, or had connections. If it can, D'Angelo's uncles and stuff lived in Southern California. They lived in Garden Grove, which is like literally the next town over from here. They could have captured him. All he had to do was end up on a POI list, and his DNA would have got checked, and then that would have been it. And can you imagine how the police would feel if they're like knocking door to door? Let's go down the list. Oh, we got this guy, Joseph D'Angelo. Let's go check him. They knock on the door. Hey, do we need your DNA? And then he gives his DNA and go, oh my God, it's 100% match. They would trip out. It'd be so funny. But it didn't happen that way. It could have happened that way, but it didn't happen that way. And the media had no way to know how that might happen. So, yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, so we're about 40% frames dropped. So we'll be troubleshooting that.